Good evening and welcome to the second of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Monday, June the 5th, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each member to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. This evening, we have two sets of minutes to approve. The first one is for a regular scheduled meeting held on Monday, May the 15th, 2017. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
I will abstain. I was on vacation.
If there's no other questions, comments, or corrections, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes dated Monday, May 15th, 2017, as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. We had a special meeting on Monday, May the 22nd. The minutes are in your packet. The floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
Nor do I.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting dated Monday, May 22nd, 2017, as presented.
Make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye as well, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have 35 pages of corporate claims in the amount of $1,404,650.06. The floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none. Thank you.
I have no questions.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate claims dated June 5th, 2017 in the amount of $1,404,650.06.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We have no unfinished business to carry over from the previous meeting. Under new business, we have several items, and the first item is the July 3rd All-American Day. And I'll ask the clerk to read the letter into the record.
Regarding the July 3rd All-American Day, the Promoters Club is asking for permission to once again hold its annual All-American Day in the Park event on Monday, July the 3rd, 2017 at Sarah T. Bolton Park. We anticipate no major change with our usual setup. However, we are hoping to have a National Guard helicopter land in the park earlier in the day and leave before dusk falls. Other than that, no real changes. We will once again limit parking to disabled vehicles and vendors, workers only, and only in designated parking areas. Rain date is Saturday, July the 8th. Proper verification of our insurance policy designating liability protection will be provided to the mayor's office. On behalf of the promoters, we wish to thank all who have helped and continue to help make this event so successful. We know we could not do it without your support and involvement. Thank you. Tim Latimer.
Floor is open for any questions or comments.
I have none.
Dave, any thoughts?
No.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the Promoters Club's request to hold the July 3rd All-American Day in Sarah T. Bolton Park.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye, and the motion carries. Permission for the Fall Festival and the Fall Festival Parade and Main Street closure and the utility usage.
Okay, this is regarding the Beech Grove Promoters Club is once again asking permission to hold the annual Fall Festival, which will take place from Wednesday, September 13th through Saturday, September the 16th, with setup occurring on Tuesday evening on the 12th. The event runs from 6 until 11, Wednesday through Friday, and from 12 until 11 on Saturday. The event will take up Main Street from 7th Avenue to 3rd Avenue, Wednesday through Friday. On Saturday, we will once again need the additional block between 6th Avenue and 7th Avenue. As usual, the parade will begin at 12 and will run from 17th Avenue to 8th Avenue. We would once again like permission to use the parking lot behind the senior center, the electrical meter box in the parking lot, and the senior center's water hookup. Thank you. Proper verification of our insurance liability policy will be provided to the mayor's office. On behalf of the promoters, we wish to thank all who have helped and continue to help make this event so successful. We know we could not do this without your support and involvement. Again, thank you, Tim Latimer.
Thank you, Dan. Floor is open for any questions or comments.
Maybe we should have done this before the American Day as well. Do the department heads have any concerns, issues, staffing?
Our only concern is the rain date, having the proper personnel available to staff additional ambulances. I'm not sure how Mark's staffing is.
Expected that it's effective. We won't have the same manpower, but we have continued to look and maybe go to another department and ask for help.
Brad?
Dave, any thoughts or questions?
No.
If
I'm good
not,
with-
I'll ask for a motion to approve the Promoters Club having their fall festival. I'll do these individually.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Motion to approve the promoters' request for a fall festival parade on Saturday, September 16th.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Motion to approve the Promoters Club request to close Main Street on Saturday, September the 16th from 6th to 7th Street. Motion to approve.
What date is that?
Saturday, September 16th.
I'll
They-
make, I'll make said motion.
Okay. I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. And the final one this evening concerning the Fall Festival is approval of the Promoters Club to use the city-controlled parking lot behind the senior center and the electrical and water hookups for service.
Do you have any issues with that?
They've done it in the past. We've had no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next up, Promoters Club permission to have the Cars R Us Car Show.
Cars R Us Car Show, the Beach Road Promoters Club is once again asking permission to hold the annual Cars R Us Car Show on Sunday, September 24th. We are requesting the use of Main Street from 9th Avenue to 3rd Avenue for this event. Thank you. Proper verification of our insurance liability policy will be provided to the mayor's office. On behalf of the promoters, we wish to thank all who have helped and continue to help make this event so successful. We know we could not do it without your support and involvement. Thank you, Tim Latimer.
Floor is open for any questions or comments.
Again, police, fire, DPW, any issues?
Have they always went from 9th Street?
No, they've expanded over the past couple of years.
Keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Because that would entail, did that entail people's, in front of people's houses there?
Yeah, but last year they was really good about it.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it then.
I'll make said motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, Want to hear from the Public Works Director concerning the process for a new jet machine. Brad?
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Dear Board, it is my recommendation to the Board of Works that the Department of Public Works be allowed to solicit bids for the purchase of a new sewer jet truck. The current jet truck we are using is a 1991 Ford, I list the VIN there just for identification purposes, equipped with a Harbin pump, same year, manufactured 1991. Our current truck is 26 years old, no longer reliable in servicing the sanitary and storm sewer systems for the city of Beech Grove. DPW requests to auction off the current jet truck after the new one is purchased. Thank you for your consideration in this matter, and please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And just to kind of kick it off, really what prompted this, obviously the truck is very old, and then we recently, for the first time since I've been aware, we had a hole in the tank. We've tried a few things to fix it. It's that's a hard fix, to keep that watertight. So between the age of the truck and now starting to pour money back into it, we've put some money in the engine over the years, but at some point, you know, you just have to call it what it is. It needs replaced.
Floor is open for any questions or comments.
What do they run about ballpark?
Well, they are sort of all over the place depending on what you want. There are vac trucks that range up into the 300s. For us, if we got something with a jet and a camera on it, you're probably looking at in the twos, somewhere in the mid twos. I haven't gotten any pricing yet, so I can't give an exact amount, but that's sort of a ballpark range. Maybe able to do a little better than that, but certainly not cheap.
What we wanted to do was go ahead and start this process. This won't happen until 2018. So it's more of getting out in front of it, and it's a budget issue for sewage works. So we could start the process, but this won't be in, like the trash truck, until spring of 2018. And really what got me on it was they were doing some sewer work on 19th and Churchman. And the company, Miller Pipeline, had this neat truck. And it wasn't a vac truck, but it was a neat, they could see in the lines and they could flush. And, you know, I said, that would be nice to have to service lines. So that's what really started this.
So how often do we use the jet truck now, the 91?
3 to 5 times a week, almost daily. Phil's constantly using it. Not more preventative, but there are times it's reactive when there's a blockage or some kind of an issue. But it's constantly going out. We're able to fill the tank about halfway, but yeah, it's just not ideal. So we're working with what we've got. But as the mayor mentioned, I think the long-term plan now is we need to start looking at replacing it if we want to be responsible with servicing the sewers.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts or questions? If not, I'll ask for a motion to begin the process to replace the jet truck.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Next up is a temporary outside dining approval for Napoli Villa. Dan, if you could read it into the record.
We do it. Okay. Dear Board, I am seeking approval to install, this is the outside lighting.
Yeah.
Okay. Dear Board, the Beech Grove High School class of 1967 is having their 50th anniversary and plan on having dinner at Napoli's on Friday, June 9, 2017. They have over 90 graduates who plan to attend this event. The class is asking for permission from the Board of Public Works and Safety to allow outdoor seating on the 8th Street side of the building on the sidewalk for this one-time event only. This request is for the time of 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Should the board have any questions or concerns, please contact George Hensley.
Floor is open for any questions or comments.
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve this one-time request.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Next up is permission to install outside lighting. Dan?
Dear Board, I'm seeking approval to install outside lighting in the same seating area in front of our restaurant, Napoli Villa, located at 758 Main Street. I have asked Michael Hughes to obtain all required permits for this work and to install all of the lighting and fixtures. Upon approval, work will begin to add nice lighting and enhance our outdoor seating area. Thank you for your consideration.
Floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none.
They put the lights up last week, actually, and I don't know if they're done or not, but Mike is the electrical inspector for the city, and he did get all the required permits. And from what I understand, this will just be seasonal. When the outdoor season winds down, then they'll take the lights down and then put them back up in the spring. So I'll open the floor up for any questions or comments.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the installation of outside lighting in front of 758 Main Street.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. There's a couple of disclosures that I wanted to, the board doesn't have to vote on them, we just have to, I just want to publicly disclose them. To the board, I want to publicly disclose a couple of actions taken by residents concerning cement work on their own personal property. As you know, Smith Projects is doing a considerable amount of work in our city, and a couple of residents have approached them on their own for driveway work of which Smith Projects has completed. Listed below are the addresses and the work that Smith Projects has completed. 1429 Biloxi. Smith Projects provided cement work for the residents' private driveway. This was paid for by the residents. The city did not approve or pay for any of this work. The city did complete some easement sidewalk and approach replacement for this address. And at 529 Birch, Smith Projects provided cement work for the residents' private driveway and easement sidewalk area that touches the driveway. This was paid for by the residents. The city did not approve or pay for any of this work, even though the sidewalk work was in an area controlled by the city. It was not in the drawings for replacement. The city did replace the residents' easement approach as part of the infrastructure repairs and repaving of Birch Street. Again, this is submitted for full disclosure and is for the record only. Dave, any questions?
No.
Then I have one more. Disclosure for the record and to the board, I want to publicly disclose a couple of actions taken by the city concerning stormwater improvements and sidewalk updates. Both of these projects are being completed by Smith Projects. At the intersection of Adelaide and Butler, prior to road work, the city had a stormwater pipe replaced to allow better flow of stormwater from the neighborhood. The amount to replace the pipe was between $5,500 and $6,000, which did not exceed the $10,000 limit for a second quote. This item will be paid from the stormwater utility. And then in the front here at 806 Main Street, the city at Smith Projects removed parts of the sidewalk and install a ramp leading up to the front door. The cost of the work was $7,500, which will include a banister, which will be paid from the sidewalk appropriation. This did not exceed the $10,000 limit for a second quote. Again, this is submitted for full disclosure and for the record only. So, any questions?
No.
And I think that's a little better out front, Dan.
It looks real nice.
So, anyway, that's just for the record.
Thank you for that.
A couple other items that the clerk passed out this evening that was not on the agenda. The Eagles is having a Hogs for Paws charity ride and adoption fair. And have the clerk read the request into the record, please.
I am writing to you regarding our upcoming charity ride and adoption fair that will take place on June 17th at the Beech Grove Eagles. My husband and I started this benefit ride 8 years ago to raise money for the local animal shelters that are trying to care for so many unwanted animals in our community. We would like to see it maybe possible to block Main Street from 4:30 to 5 p.m. or less in order to have our slow drag and weenie bite competition that will raise money for these charities. We would need this from 7 to 8th Street. Sorry for the late notice on this. I thought someone else had already contacted you. Denise and John Bell, thank you.
This is concerning the Eagles. So any questions or comments?
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the request from the Beech Grove Eagles to close 7th to 8th Street from 4:30 to 6 for a charity event.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. And we have one more item that the clerk passed out that was not on the agenda. Read it into the record.
To whom it may concern, I was in the process of pulling a permit to build a garage at 2303 Churchman Avenue in Beech Grove and was told that I needed a variance. Went downtown, bought signs and a list of neighbors to contact, and was doing everything I was told to do. Went to City Hall, paid the $150 fee, and then was told if I moved the garage over 2 feet, I did not need a variance. So I'm requesting my $150 back since we did not have a variance hearing. I have paid all the other fees related to my permits. Thank you, Lisa Chilton.
Floor is open for any questions or comments.
I have
What?
none.
You move it over 2 feet, what's the difference, I guess?
What actually happened on this is by moving it over 2 feet, they would not have to go through a variance. And she had already paid for the variance. And she incurred other costs downtown Indianapolis. And so she's asking us to refund her amount she had paid, which was the $150.
I make a motion, we refund her money.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Lisa is sitting back there in the cheap seat. All right. Have a nice evening. That concludes new business. Comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:31 p.m. We will reconvene on Monday, June 19th at 6 p.m. Thank you so much. Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley. I'm the mayor of the city of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our common council meeting for Monday, June the 5th, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Buddy Templin, Councilman at Large.
Dave Harrison, Councilman District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Peter Mascari, Councilman, District 2.
Elizabeth Lamping, Councilperson, District 1.
Chris Duffer, District 3.
Kevin Day, District 4.
Thank you. Counselor Jim Brooks is absent this evening. with his family, so he'll be back in July. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Under special presentations, we have 4 this evening. The first is a flag presentation to the city, and I'd like to read this into the record, please. The family of John Kelso Jr. would like to donate this American flag to the city of Beech Grove in John's memory. John Kelso Jr. was born on March the 24th, 1954, and passed away while on active duty overseas on March the 12th, 2001. This flag before us was presented to John's family in his honor. John Kelso Jr. was a member of the United States Marine Corps. The family asks that their flag donation and John's name be read into the record at the city council meeting. So, Dan, if you could do that, I'll give this to you.
The family of John Kelso Jr. would like to donate this American flag to the city of Beech Grove in John's memory. John Kelso Jr. was born on March 24th, 1954, and passed away while on active duty overseas on March 12, 2001. This flag before us was presented to John's family in his honor. John Kelso Jr. was a member of the United States Marine Corps. The family asked that their flag donation and John's name be read into the record at city council meeting.
Thank you.
Is John's family here?
No.
Okay.
No. Next special presentation is Police Department accommodation to Officer Lee Huffman. At this time, I'll ask the police chief to come forward and present to the council.
I want to thank the mayor for letting me come up here to do this. To start off with, this is a commendation. Police department does not give these out very often, and they're not for just normal police work. I'll read this commendation. The Beech Grove Police Department Certificate Accommodation, Officer Lee Huffman. This certificate is presented to Officer Lee Huffman for his astute awareness and act of courage and bravery on March 11th of 2017. Because of his awareness of his surroundings, Officer Huffman saved countless lives from an apartment fire. Officer Huffman consistently displays the qualities that the Beech Grove Police Department strives to promote in all of his officers. This is awarded the 5th day of June, 2017. And this was saved the lives. This was early morning. Lee works late shift and was on his way home. He would be able to explain better how that is, but I can tell you, 6 o'clock in the morning, you're ready to go home. He saw a problem, responded to it, and woke people up out of sleep to save them and their property. So I want to congratulate Lee for a good job.
Lee, you want to say anything? Would you like to hear him speak?
I just want to say thanks to everybody that showed up, all the other guys here on middle shift and everyone else here. I appreciate everybody taking the time to be here, and thanks to the chief, thanks to the deputy chief, and thanks everybody.
Well done, Lee. I'll tell you, there's nothing worse, and I thought about this when the chief was telling me about it. When you're on a fire truck and it's 3, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and you pull up in front of a house that smoke's coming out of it and there's nobody outside, you just, oh no, here we go. This is going to be really bad. And my hat's off to Lee and everybody else who went over there. He had the presence to call the fire department, and the fire department showed up. And I think unfortunately for one person, it did not work out, but for the rest of them, it did. So we're very happy about that. So congratulations. The next special presentation is, I want to bring Teresa Vernon up. She's with the kitchen community, and I met Teresa at a FFA advisory committee meeting. And the school system is doing some innovative things with feeding kids. You know, they have the summer program, summer camp, where they feed students, and each school in the district is doing some work to grow food and then eat it. And I asked her if she would come and give you a short presentation on her work and how it will affect our community. So Teresa, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
I'm just going to have you pass down these flyers.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, for inviting me to come here to speak. This is just such a great, just the two prior presentations, it just nails in, it reinforces the fact that Beech Grove has such an amazing community. And that's what we're all about, the kitchen community. We create community through food is what our tagline is. And I know you're supposed to start out presentations with a joke, but mine's going to be a confession. I actually have stage fright, and a year ago, I would have been terrified to be up here, but I've had more presentations in the past 7 months since I've started this job than I have in my 25-year work career. So, and they're all very different, and I feel so attorney-like up here right now. My last presentation was for the Wayne Township Principals Association, and I told my husband, I can't be late for this meeting because then I'll get in trouble and they'll send me to the office. And now, you know, it's like I feel so official up here. But thank you for having me. One of the challenges I've had launching this organization is getting the word out, so the more people that know about what we're doing, the better. So I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I'd be hard-pressed to if any of you aren't aware of the increase in obesity and type 2 diabetes in this country, and the detriment that it's had on the health of the community, and rising obesity rates and cancer and chronic diseases and type 2 diabetes, and the impact that it's had on our youth has been very alarming. The day after I accepted this position, in October, I was at Eli Lilly for a press conference, and Dr. Virginia Kane said this statistic that was just absolutely staggering. She said 10 years ago, of all diabetes that was diagnosed in adolescent, only 3% was diagnosed at type 2. Today, jump forward 10 years later, that number is 45%. Diagnosed as type 2 in adolescent. And type 2 diabetes is completely preventable with healthy eating, access to healthy food, and healthy behaviors. So this is why we at the kitchen community do what we do. We want to change habits and behaviors, and stop this trajectory. The kitchen community is a national non-for-profit that launched here in Indianapolis in November, which is when I started with them. And we build learning gardens in underserved schools in the city, connecting kids to real food and empowering them to make healthy food choices and through hands-on learning. So what is a learning garden? It's on the flyer that I handed to you, but basically our learning gardens are more than just your typical school garden. What we give a school is an outdoor classroom. It's a permanent feature in the schoolyard. We build a footprint, about 1,000 square footprint, laying pavers down. If there's not existing concrete, provide benches and landscaping and shade structure to create this footprint of an outdoor classroom, because when teachers bring kids outside, they think they're at recess. So we want to have a controlled space for the teachers so they can bring the kids outside. The outdoor classrooms are ADA accessible. Again, it's about 1,000 square feet for the elementary, middle school level with 100 square feet of garden beds and 2,000 square feet at the high school level with about 200 square feet of garden beds. Once we build our landscape architect designs the learning garden and builds it, our program team steps in and they provide training to the school's garden team, which could be made up of teachers, administrators, parents, community members, anybody that's just passionate and understands the impact that a learning garden can have on the students. But we train this team on how to plant and harvest and water, how to basically produce a healthy, thriving garden. But we also teach the teachers how to teach in the learning garden. We provide activities for the teachers in all different classes that you can imagine. The possibilities are endless with STEM and biology and language and literacy. I mean, we just encourage teachers to bring kids out to the learning garden to journal. Also, and the next step into that is usually after about a year and the school has a healthy, thriving garden, the school can elect to work in a curriculum that was designed for the kitchen community. On the elementary, middle school level, it's a nutrition and health curriculum where Common Threads, which is a nationally certified curriculum developer focused on childhood obesity, preventing childhood obesity, they developed this for the kitchen community where there's 16 lessons, eight in nutrition, 8 in the garden, and they correspond with each other. So, for example, if the teacher is teaching about photosynthesis in plants, the nutrition curriculum corresponding with that is metabolizing sugars in the body. At the high school level, it's an entrepreneurial curriculum where the students create their own lesson plan on how to grow and harvest and sell the produce at a profit. So both of these, I'm really excited. Obviously, the access to this healthy food, bringing the kids back to where their food comes from is very important, but this next step is, I think, equally as important in teaching kids nutrition, the importance of nutrition as well as a high school curriculum level. So in summary, the things that distinguish us from other organizations doing school gardens are the fact that we build an outdoor classroom. We don't just drop wooden box gardens off at the school and say, here you go, have at it. We build an outdoor classroom, a permanent structure to the schoolyard, and we provide ongoing training to remove barriers for the teachers and the garden team to assure that they have a healthy, thriving garden so that so the teachers feel comfortable using the garden and so the kids are exposed to the vegetables. And things that we know are that when anybody is involved in the planting and harvesting, growing, they're more likely to try these healthy fruits and vegetables. And that's what we want to do, is to make eating vegetables cool, I suppose. So I believe every school should have a learning garden. Every school has a playground, so why can't every school have a school garden? And that wasn't said by me, that was said by the assistant principal at Cold Spring Schools in Indianapolis, and I thought, yeah, you're absolutely right. That should be the norm, is every school should have a garden. Hopefully a learning garden. The kitchen community is on a modest growth plan. Indianapolis is the 5th region that we're in, but hopefully eventually we'll be all over the country. Our goal is to build 100 gardens in Indianapolis over the next 4 years by 2020. Once we have the Beech Grove schools complete, by the end of June, that will be our first 20, so we are on nice we're on target so far, knock on wood. My goal in this, my role in this organization as the regional director is to bring in funding to meet this goal. We are 100% philanthropically funded, so we provide these gardens and the services at no charge to the school. And I know that when the mayor asked me to present to you, he did not expect me to do a solicitation. I'm not going to, although I will accept money from anybody. However, what I would love, I've included my business card, if, I know all of you know individuals and businesses and corporations, and if their philanthropy is aligned with nutrition and healthy food access and professional development for teachers and improving the schoolyard. These are all things that the kitchen community does. So any connections that you can make for me would be greatly appreciated because, as I said, launching an organization from scratch. I've been in Indianapolis for 25 years, and I was very excited for the kitchen community to come here, but it's getting the word out has been a challenge, and it would be great to make connections. So I have a few minutes that I think that if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Now, it kind of helped me out, the produce that you have will be the product, and the blessings of the produce will be used by the schools?
Correct.
Will there be any reserve for the community?
Well, so the goal is to get the food in the children's bellies. I mean, that's what we want. We want them to eat it. The 100 square feet of garden does not, it won't feed the whole entire community. We just spoke to Tara, who's she works for Chartwell's, the Beech Grove Schools food provider, and we talked about getting the food into the cafeteria for the kids. Because that's pretty impactful. Other ways that some schools use the food is they have tasting days and let the kids have salad parties and things like that to get it in the classroom that way. In other regions, some schools the schools opts how they would like to use the food, whatever their need is. There's some schools that have food pantries at their school, and they do send out the food at the food pantry, which are the kids around the community, so eventually it does get in, or backpack programs. But I believe here, Tara, the food, Chartwell's was really excited about having the kids grow their own food that they eat in the cafeteria.
And then did I understand that there might actually be some entrepreneur, like you said, there might be some learning they might use the food and food services to teach the kids cooking and preparation and... Exactly,
on the high school level, for sure, yes.
And then and I think, is there a design as far as what they can grow? Is there some regulation as far as the type of foods?
One way that we're able to operate at scale like we do is that there is a specific garden plan for each. So each school gets the same number of beds. They might be designed differently because they're sort of a modular shape for our landscape architect to be able to design them for any space in a schoolyard. But they get the same number of beds, and so we provide the seeds and the starts every season and we provide exactly which beds get what, and it allows
growing ability and
it allows us to operate at scale and train the people. Everybody gets the same thing, and so if the school over here is doing one thing and the school is over here doing another, it's just going to. We have such a small staff that we don't have the capacity to allow schools. If some schools already have box gardens, their own box gardens, which we are working with some schools that do, they can plant whatever they want in those, but we provide everything we provide for our beds.
Designed for what?
Right, exactly. And again, it helps us operate at scale, but it also takes a little bit of the burden off the schools because they don't have to think about what my program team, they're master gardeners, and they know exactly what to plant. We like to keep things in the beds year-round. Like, for example, right now we're planting, we're finishing up the planting of the summer vegetables when students are gone. They're planting them now, and they will be, like tomatoes and corn and things like that will grow over the summer. They'll harvest them when they get back, and they'll continue to produce vegetables through September. They'll harvest that, clean those beds, put the overwinter seeds in there, which is cilantro, spinach, and
got a continuous crop rotation going.
And then that gets harvested at the beginning of March, and then there's like a quick germination seeds where we plant a salad. It's spinach, lettuce, radishes, pea shoots, and then that grows before the end of April, and they get to harvest that. And then we plant again for the summer. So we constantly have things in the beds.
Constant rotation of
and again,
things.
and that allows the schools, takes the burdens off the schools to try to figure out what they can grow. Another reason why I think our model is very successful is we, again, remove barriers for the schools and make it as easy as possible for them to have a healthy, thriving garden.
There's just not gonna be this garden space where it's a good idea and nothing happens. There's gonna be this constant plan of rotation and
Right,
continual
right.
sub-
And,
or,
and we
yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
work, as long as the schools want us
As long as they-
want our support and help, we will be there to
Very
help
good.
them and support them.
Good. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Actually I was able to go to one of the earlier meetings, and I'm gonna be a volunteer, so.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
good,
so
that's,
I want to
yes.
volunteer to help in any way, capacity I can, as
Yes.
far as.
Liz came to our, when we initially met with the superintendent's office, and I have to say, I will tell you that Superintendent Kaiser was my high school assistant principal, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Small world. So thank you very much.
Awesome project.
Thank you.
Just to really briefly, 1 in 7 people in Marion County lay down at night hungry. So something we have to think about. Move on to the fire department. I asked them to come tonight to talk to you about some capital improvements for 2018. In July, we meet on July the 10th. We don't meet on July the 3rd. There's just too much going on. So on July the 10th, I'll have the police chief speak to you about some improvements for the police department for 18. But tonight, I would like the fire chief to come and talk to you about a couple improvements that they need to make next year. So, Chief?
Mayor and council, thank you. Firefighter Cloyd has handed out just a 2018 budget needs assessment. And just a little background, I included some bullet points on this document. And I really started out by talking about our mission and value statement. And that's the fire department to provide a proud, professional, positive image for the community and maintain autonomy for the city of Beech Grove. Our number one goal is to evaluate and make changes for emergency preparedness and response based on a risk assessment. And that's reducing and eliminating civilian and firefighter injury or death. And when we talk about our necessity, these are necessity items that we need to operate. These aren't wants. It's not that we want a new SCBA air pack. These are necessities that we need to have replaced. I have Operation Chief Jim Pierce. He's going to help me out, talk about our SCBA replacement and also our radio replacements. Our SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus, they're scheduled for replacement in 2017. Our Health and Safety Committee has been researching new air packs within NFPA 1981 standards, and our current SCBAs were purchased in 2006. The council's done an excellent job for 2017. We have a lease payment included this year for $50,000, and that lease payment we'll have to, once we purchase these air packs, it will extend over another 5 years. With our air packs, we currently have a grant application in with the Department of Homeland Security for SCBAs. We're still in that process. Hopefully we'll get the grant, but if we don't, we have a good backup plan in place to have these air packs replaced. With our SCBA purchases, we had thermal imaging cameras included with our SCBA. We have 3 thermal imaging cameras for the department, 1 on each engine and 1 in the battalion vehicles. Those imaging cameras help firefighters look through the smoke conditions, be able to find civilians, people inside smoky conditions. And I'm going to let Jim talk about our air packs in just a second. Another good note is we were able to purchase 25 sets of Morning Pride fire turnout gear, and all that turnout gear has been replaced, and all of our firefighters are in new gear. Again, we'd like to thank the council for getting our gear and keeping our firefighters in the most safe, protective equipment that we can purchase. Jim?
He gave me the bad news to give to you, so I'll talk a little bit about price and features of the packs. First of all, the packs that we use are designed to allow us to enter into any hazardous atmosphere, not just smoky conditions, but, chemical releases, carbon monoxide exposures, things of that nature. And we've also, over the years, NFPA and our own studies have found that we need to be wearing these air packs more than what we do currently. So they're now starting to get a bigger workout than what they ever have before. So with that and the age of our packs, it has now come time to replace these and also upgrade to the current standards. We try to follow as closely as possible the national standards for safety. Obviously, sometimes you can't be on time with the upgrades. Upgrades come faster than we can potentially be able to purchase. However, now's a good time for us to be able to upgrade. Some of the things that we'll be doing is these packs will be interconnectable. So if a firefighter goes down in a fire, someone else with a pack can come up and connect into them, share air with them. That's not something we've been able to do before. We've had separate packs that we could go in to do rescues with that we could hook up, but now the standards are that every pack, no matter make or model, is interconnectable for safety reasons. So that's one of the upgrades. The other upgrade is through communications through the mask. There's electronic technology now that allows direct Bluetooth communications with the radios that we carry, which is something else I'm going to talk about here in just a second, which enhances our capabilities to communicate outside of a fire and with each other. I don't know if anybody's ever heard us trying to talk through our masks into a radio, and it sounds like an old Charlie Brown cartoon most of the time. But now with the microphones and technologies built into the mask, it'd be just like us talking like back and forth. It's very, very interesting, and I think Counselor Templin can probably attest to what it sounds like over the radio with the old packs and just trying to, talk through them. So they've almost eliminated a lot of that problem. Masks have been redesigned so that they fit better, they have better visibility. They've actually now incorporated that we talked about thermal imaging cameras. They now incorporated a small version into the mask so that firefighters won't have to have a camera. They can actually look through their mask and see thermal images. It's not a replacement for the cameras, it's an addition to, because obviously for the size, they don't have a big range. But if you're crawling around looking for something and it's right in front of you, you're gonna be able to see it. So a lot of technology improvements have come about, a lot of mandated updates through the national standards have come about, so now's a good time for us to go ahead and replace our packs. Plus, they've hit that age mark when it's recommended that they be taken out of service. So with that, to outfit the entire department, we're looking at around $223,000. Like I said, we do have a lease purchase payment set up for that. I've also applied for, or we've applied for grant funding through FEMA. So we're hoping one of those two comes, we're keeping our fingers crossed on the grant. We haven't been denied yet, so that's always a good thing. So we're waiting to see on that. But what that would do is allow us to replace all the packs, would allow us to issue face pieces and regulators to every member of the department, and then have a small backup supply for repairs and damage. And that will completely outfit us again for breathing apparatus.
Hey, Jim, what's the lifespan of the new air pack?
Lifespan, they're recommending about 10 years on a pack to rotate it out. And that kind of fits in with the materials that it's made out of. The bottles that hold the air, they're only good for so many cycles of being tested, and after that you have to take them out of service and buy new bottles. So right about the 10-year mark is when they like to see us take them out of service and replace them. And most of our packs now are on the 11 going on 12 years, depending on when we bought them, because we bought them in stages the last time. So the newest ones that we have are about 11 years old, and the oldest cycle is 12. So we need to start moving along and get those replaced. So Any questions about air packs before I move on to
So when you
radios?
say they were purchased in stages, so your goal is, that means you have some that are expiring at certain times, or they all expired? You kind of want to keep everything, get them, and then keep
We really wanna
same
get-
expiration time?
Yeah, we want to
Right.
get everything together.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
really, both
yeah.
stages are out of date for what's recommended. I mean, like I said, for 10 years, we're supposed to take them out of service, and we've got some that are 12 and some that are 11. So we're past the time for replacing all of it.
So you're at risk
So we're
for
just-
failed equipment, or?
No, we spend a lot of money
Right.
to keep these
Yeah.
things,
Oh, I got you.
mean, this is,
Okay,
yeah,
I got
very
you.
important equipment, so it's
Right.
not,
it's just the modern, okay.
it's
Yeah.
just, well, and we are starting to spend a lot more money to keep them
Yes.
up because they are
Yes.
components are wearing out, things of that nature. But no, we spare no expense to keep
Okay,
those in tip-top condition because, the last thing you want to have fail is that.
What's the grant value? What's the best you can look for out of the grant?
215,000.
So, I mean, fortunate enough on the grant, it almost takes care of the.
Yes. Yeah, our portion of it's like 2%.
Is when they do this, okay, that was my next question. When they do these grants, is it possible to get lesser amount depending if they wanna, I mean, if they say, hey, we're gonna give you this grant, but the price you give's the best, but there's still
Yeah.
opportunity to get other monies?
Yes,
My question.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, most of the federal grants, there's usually an awardee's portion. And this particular grant's 2%, I believe, is what would be our, no matter what pack we chose, we'd pay 2% of the purchase price. So, any other questions?
Is there during the lease period, is there like a warranty period, or are repairs covered during the lease?
There's a warranty period depending on the manufacturers. Usually that's right around 5 years, I believe, is the packs that we're looking at is a 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, excluding, just obvious mistreatment, but,
And so then when the lease is up, that second 5 years, then you're just paying for repairs, is that correct?
yeah, you'll be just paying for repairs. There might be some options that we can have with the manufacturer to carry out some extended warranties, but we'll have to talk to them about that. But, yeah, they come with a 5-year warranty that's pretty good. And, well, some components of the packs are lifetime. So anything that deals with the air regulator and the electronics, I believe, are lifetime. Anyway.
Is there like a lease option that you could go 10 years on, and then that would just be a recurring payment from now on, and then you'd have, at the end of the 10-year period, then you'd just get new?
Yes, that would be something the clerk treasurer would have to look into, and see what banks he can work with. There's different programs, some of the different manufacturers have different leasing agents to go through. I'm sure anything like that would be an option, but it's, what's best financially for the city at the time, something would have to be considered.
And are there recyclable parts then? So is there, can you, when you turn part of them in, do you get any reimbursement for like some recyclable parts, or no?
No, they're pretty much done. They
They're
take
done.
them out
I
of
didn't know.
service. We
Scrap 'em.
donate them to schools and
I see.
things that are gonna use them for training.
Could I get one for when I'm peeling onions?
Only if I get to come over and watch you before you put it on.
Yeah, what Chris says with, when we mention grants and what he mentions with the length of this payback, because I know when you get to radios, you're gonna double that number again, I'm sure.
Yes.
It's not on here, but I'm sure it will be.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I had looked at Chief, he's the money guy, I do the hardware stuff, so that's why we make a good team, so. Any other questions about air packs? Okay. The second thing I wanted to touch briefly with you on is our radio system, our radios. And actually brought a demo with me of what we're looking at, just so you can kind of see what it is, and I'll pass it around if anybody wants to put their hands on it. It's, at the end of this year, December 31st, 2017, our current radio systems will have reached their end of life with Motorola, which manufactures the radios. And what that means is they will no longer produce parts, and they'll no longer offer repairs. Doesn't mean the radios will just automatically die at midnight. However, if anything happens to them after December 31st, we're just out of luck. And we're almost to that point now because of they've stopped making parts and they're getting more scarce, the radios we currently have are getting more expensive to repair. We actually have 3 right now that are out of service that we just are feeling like they're gonna be too cost prohibitive to repair. We're looking at almost $1,000 per radio for repair. So right now, we're just kinda hanging on to them. So with that being said, the county Public Safety Communications has recommended that all departments start looking at replacing their radios. We started looking at this a couple years ago. We started talking about it. The state went to work with Motorola and come up with a purchase plan for these particular radios, one of which I've got right here in front of you, that we can purchase to operate here in Marion County. The particular radio I have in front of you is a radio that's designed specifically for firefighting. It's a radio that's designed to withstand up to 800 degrees and still operate without flaw. It's water submersible. The microphones are designed to work in high wind and high noise environments. If you notice, all the buttons are really, really big. It's designed for us to work with our heavy gloves to be able to change channels, activate the emergency buttons, turn it on, off, do all kinds of different things. So it's designed for us to work with our big bulky gloves on. It's not the small buttoned radios that we've been using. So these all meet the current new communication standards for firefighters, fire departments. Some of the technology with this that we don't currently have, they have network capability with these radios that we'll no longer have to take it out of service and go downtown to have it reprogrammed or updated. They can do that on the fly. As long as we're at somewhere where there's a wireless connection, they can just upload software updates, template updates for the radio, change the name of the radio, change the identifier, all kinds of things. So it's a big time saver for us that we don't have to take it out of service and take it down and have it reprogrammed. It also is Bluetooth capable, which I mentioned earlier with the air packs. These are designed to marry up with the packs that we're looking for and will allow us to communicate through the radio system through Bluetooth. So no longer will they have to use the microphone or push buttons and things like that. It'll all be integrated into the mask and connected to their radio. So it's exciting technology for us to make us safer, allow us to communicate a lot better. So again, as you can guess, these aren't cheap. This particular unit that you're looking at right here is $5,200, and we need 25 of them. Actually, the radios that go into the vehicles are about $1,000 cheaper. Don't know why, but I think because they're not ruggedized, they're just designed to work in a vehicle, and they're about $4,200. Some of the vehicles that we've purchased in the last couple of years, we've gone ahead and bought new radios for, so we've started replacing the fleet to a certain degree when we had the money. But again, this is going to be a pretty big expense that we're going to have to deal with pretty soon. So, as the counselor said, I've got another big ticket item for you. We're looking at about $225,000, $250,000 for radio purchases within the next year.
Jim, has the Mecca offered any financial assistance?
They have not. MECA, for you that don't know, MECA stood for Metropolitan Emergency Communications Agency. A few years ago, that was a private organization that served Marion County Police and Fire, provided their communications needs. And it was basically a vendor that took care of all of our equipment, our hardware, our radio communications, so on and so forth. Several years ago, they dissolved that agency and created a department under Marion County Homeland Security called the Public Safety Communications. So with that, the cost of hardware and radios and all that shifted to the departments because they now no longer have a budget. They have a budget, but not to where they can replace all the county radios and all the county computers and all that kind of stuff. So that fell to the departments, I want to say, 6 or 7 years ago. So no, to answer your question, Mayor, we will not get any assistance from the from downtown. All the departments in Marion County are on their own for purchasing this equipment.
Is there any other departments that you know, fire-wise, that need a major purchase, or have they been purchasing them as they go, or, I'm just, in Marion County?
Pike Township, last summer, they replaced all their radios, somewhere close to $1 million. They just went out and bought them.
Because the police department's gonna have, I would imagine, Chief, probably some of the same
Yes.
issues in the future too, so.
Yeah, we're only half the equation when it comes to communications. The police department's gonna have the same need as we do. To finish answering your question, yeah, there's a couple other departments that have been piecing these together, buying a few here and there. So kind of like.
Because I was wondering if somebody on this council knew of a city-county council person that maybe could look for help with funding. I was looking at Vito, I was taking a mathematical guess here. So,
Not that we think he knows anybody or anything,
Yeah.
but.
Jim, one thing that citizens may not be aware of, on your cell phone bills, your telephone bills, all the emergency 911 money goes to this department. They ought to have to share the responsibility on some of this. They're the ones forcing us into going with their, with their program. We've got very little choice in it, other than the fact they've been talking about this for a couple of years. But I think it's terrible that they're taking all the money and have since we've lost our dispatch center. So, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that they've collected that would have went to Beech Grove at one time.
What Dan was saying was kind of why I was hoping that some agencies have kind of, the more the merrier, when you gotta, and I'm sure, I think the mayor's probably got something to say on it later too.
Well, I just think it's unfortunate because all of our money goes there and it doesn't come back.
Right.
And then now they're telling us what type of radio to buy.
Right, exactly.
So it's unfair.
Jim, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dennis. Jim, one other question I had, you said them radios cost about $5,000 apiece? Mm-hmm. Okay, and you need 25, that's $125,000. Where'd the 270 come from?
That's just the mobiles or the portables. I've still got $4,500 in mobile radios and installation for those and the accessories for the radios. We're getting radio straps for the crews to be able to carry individual radio straps. And so there's some other ancillary costs in there. And that was a round number, Dan. I mean, when we get ready to talk.
No, I understand that.
We get ready to talk
That's more than
numbers.
double
Yeah.
the actual cost of the
Right,
radio.
well, we still got, like I said, I didn't quote the mobile radios and I don't have a count right off the top of my head, because like I said, we did 2 of them, so we need 1, 2. So we need 6.
The medic trucks have a front and a rear radio.
Yeah.
So each medic truck has 2.
Yeah, and our battalion has 2 radios.
Battalion has 2 also.
Well,
And
plus, haven't we, on the new equipment we put new radios into them as we were purchasing them?
1 ambulance and 1 engine. We did that on.
Okay.
So we still got 2 ambulances, 2 engines, the staff vehicles, the chief's vehicle, and the station radio. So we got 1 radio at each station. So those would have to be replaced as well.
And one other question, not to do with the radios, the ambulance replacement, you've got an 18 at 155. Why is that so much higher than the?
We're coming back, can talk to that, because we're gonna talk about, the need for new cot and.
Okay,
load
that's fine.
system.
Like I said, he's the money guy. I'm the hardware guy, so.
Yeah, and our whole, for anybody in the public, is that since 1990, the departments really hadn't had to budget for these items because, not that we didn't pay our fair share, as the mayor said, through certain 911 tax and everything, but to the both police chiefs, or police chief and fire chief, or even the city, it's something new that we hadn't had to be, a huge budget item like this, so. But it, you know, the show's gotta go on too, so, some way.
Yeah, sooner or later.
Just out of curiosity, are the radios specific to the air packs? Are they connected to each other, or and does each fireman assign like a radio and an air pack?
Yes,
That's
well,
all-
yeah, yes and yes.
Okay.
Each position on the fire truck and the ambulance has a radio assigned to it, so each seated position has a radio.
Okay,
When the firefighter comes in that day, whatever position they are, they'll get their radio and they'll connect it to that air pack.
okay.
So for the day, yes, it's connected to that air pack for communication purposes.
Yes, so they're ready to go, and they,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But that'll be on a daily basis, because, you know, they may move around or radios get moved and things like that, but
But all this technology just makes everything streamlined, easier, with the ease, and that only means you are more available to get in and save somebody's
yes.
life.
Get in to save somebody, also make, you know,
And-
if
and
we get in
protect
trouble.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
and if we get in trouble,
Yes.
something else I didn't mention on these, they have a locating system on them as well, so that if, you know, a firefighter goes down or gets in trouble,
Yes.
we can locate them by their radio. And that's new for us too, that we've not had that before.
It's got a pretty color on it too there.
Yeah, it's
Which is unique
nice,
for them.
it's a nice, as Courtney said, a nice clashing color.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all about visibility and ease of use, and that's what these are designed for. Yes, sir.
Is Dan correct, as far as that 911 money goes, that used to go towards some of this and now it doesn't? If it doesn't, what does it go for nowadays? And why don't we get some share of that?
That's kind of over my head a little bit.
You know, Mayor?
I wish I knew. You know how it used to be was, when we did this back, when I was chief, the county applied for a grant through Homeland Security. And was awarded a grant, and everybody got new radios under the grant. So evidently, I guess they don't want to do that anymore, for whatever reason.
Well.
Because
that-
countywide, it's a $50 million project, easy. That don't even count some physical sites like certain towers. It's, you know.
And that was part of the reason on this go-around that the grant, we didn't go the regional grant route, because we would be capped at the amount of money we could get. So the departments opted to go ahead and try to get grants on their own, which is what we've been trying to do, because.
I think that's really unfair. We have more bang if you're one. Instead of having 5 or 6 different public service agencies competing against one another,
Yes.
you have one product. So,
Well, we are joining together to buy we're buying these through a state purchase plan, and so we're all kind of putting our
Getting
voice
buying
together to
power,
do this, but as far as the grants that we were looking at to do a regional grant, the amount of money that we could get from those grants as a region would not be anywhere close to replacing all the equipment.
I was
for
gonna
the
throw
entire-
one thing out here, maybe the mayor or somebody else. It's not just the communications that we lost that. Even before that, some 911 monies were already appropriated and given to the county, given directly to Mecca for operation. The city didn't complain because they were getting radios and all that stuff in return. So even before that, there was money going there, and that money was supposed to be used for it. That money's still going there, and that's why I kind of threw it down to the city-county council that I think they're using some of, if it's not gonna spread the wealth here, and in a good way, that they're using money from Beech Grove to buy Indianapolis radios. That's how I look at it, and I don't think that's fair.
and the sheriff department.
And Sheriff's Department, exactly, yes. So,
And so, what can we do about that?
well, I guess we can start out, maybe the mayor's probably in the best position for that.
I think we can start out, and I don't have an issue doing it. It would be to write a letter to 2 or 3 different people. One would be the city county council president, and I think maybe Craig could reach out to the corporate attorneys, things such as that.
Yeah.
But, you know, if we have to pay our fair share, then maybe we should get some return.
I agree.
I had a question. So when Mecca was still in place,
I know, because I used to work in that building with Mecca. I have this guy's service desk all the time late at night. Motorola service the radios for you, so you bring them in there and service them. Would that be something that would still be in place, that you need to go to Mecca to service those radios, or are you gonna have to work directly with Motorola now?
We'll work primarily directly through Motorola.
Okay.
They still have the help desk down there, and
Yeah.
they still, like, emergency fixes, like, if we need a speaker or, you
Yeah.
know, something like that, they can do that. But then anything we go through them gets billed to Motorola, and then
Okay.
we end up paying it anyway. So a lot of times, sometimes it's easier just to go straight to Motorola.
So there'd be an additional cost for the servicing too?
No, I don't think there's any additional
okay.
costs. It's a funnel through type
Yeah.
thing,
Okay,
so.
thanks.
Any other questions over the stuff I talked about?
Thanks for the
Okay,
information.
thank you for your time. And if anybody would like additional information, please come see me. I got cards I'll give you later tonight.
I'd keep an eye out on the clerk treasurer. He might try to throw in Radio Shacks with longer antennas, so,
Trust me, I'll watch him.
okay.
Springs and tin cups.
There we go. Hey, it worked in the old days.
Hey, great. Next page, I'd like to talk about our emergency medical services. And talk about our re-chassis. Dan had a very good question. We talked about why it was so expensive to re-chassis another medic truck. One, the costs are going up, but included in this, what we want to do was include a new cot for both primary medics, and an auto load system. I asked Courtney Henderson, one of our civilian medics, to come up and speak about the safety and why we need auto load cot. We also brought our current power cot here so you guys can see it. I thought it was very good because we can talk about cots and what they do and how they operate, but until you see it, see the functionality of it and how it works is very important. Another recommendation from Stryker, they took a lot of data and information from insurance companies, the Fire Academy, Journal of Emergency Services, and they looked at ambulance crashes, ambulance rollovers, and Stryker recommends that we put a safety bar, which is used in our auto load system, in the vehicle. It keeps the cot secure from coming up. They're all rated not to, but they found that the hardware in the back of the trucks are coming loose during vehicle accidents, T-bone, rollovers, and it's injuring and killing patients and the paramedics in the back of the truck. So we want to decrease that risk. Also, with our new re-chassis, we want to look at a 5-point safety harness for the medics in the back of those vehicles so they can be tethered and harnessed while they're doing patient care. It's a very important safety issue for our medics because we put them in a very dangerous situation, standing them up. They're trying to do patient care. They're moving around freely in the back of the truck. But if we can tether and harness these guys and keep them safe, that's the way to go. So, Courtney?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Courtney. I'm one of the Beech Grove Fire Department B-Shift paramedics. Appreciate you guys. I would like you guys to no longer look at our current automatic cot as a standard or as an option anymore, but for now on, look at it as a standard for us to get the automatic lift cots for the safety of our firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs, and for our patients. Don't know if you know this, but more than 50% of inline duty claims and 50% of early retirement is a result of lower back injuries, according to the International Association of Firefighters. So every time we're on a run, we put ourselves and our patients at risk for injury. That is every time we go on a run and treat a patient. Our current automatic cot is only held by a, Casey, can you bring that cot up for me? Yeah. So, wanted to show you guys, currently, there is a bar at the very front. That bar right there is only held by a metal peg that is mounted onto our ambulance. It is 3 times smaller than my cell phone. That is what Casey, myself, and other firefighters, when we put this on the cot, that's all that holds it on when we lift it in the air. If a patient decides that they move or jarg, they could potentially fall and harm themselves. They potentially could harm me, and that injury could be career-ending. That's my lifestyle. That's my lifeline. With the new automatic lift cot, it is a bar that automatically lifts and is installed and is secure on the ambulance. And you do that with one finger. So as the young lady that was here earlier talked about diabetes, children, 45%, well, they become adults. And those adults, not just heavy, but become dangerous. So I would like you guys to consider a standard. This is a must for us, for our safety and for our patients. You have to realize we don't have nice, smooth, sidewalks. We go into places that are inclines, that are uneven. In the wintertime, it is ice and snow, ditches and things like that. So having new cots decreases potential injuries that could be career-ending, but it also increases the safety for our Beech Grove Fire Department employees, St. Francis employees, and increases the safety of our citizens that retreat. So really need you guys to consider that. And this is my job, my primary and only job at Beech Grove Fire Department. I'm not cool enough to fight fires, but I do treat my patients like my family. And that is you guys too, so thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, how long have we had these?
Remember, one is 3 years old. We purchased with one of the refurbished cots, and the other is, I would say they're going on 8. Yeah, good 8 years old. So
Since we started using the automatic lift, how many back injuries?
I want to say 0 from the cots, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Jim.
I agree.
Jim does all the OSHA 200 logs. But we were faced when Dennis was chief and prior, we would have, it wasn't uncommon to have 2 or 3 people off a year with an on-duty back injury. And that's a workman's comp issue. It's expensive. It's loss of manpower, causes overtime, and it really puts us in a bad situation for staffing. With the power cots, is decreased dramatically from injury. There is a lot of safety issues with cot. Now, when you take a look, and I'm not going to go on too long, but we talked about the issue of staffing and the medic and the type of responses our guys are going on with the heroin, the overdoses, the mental emotionals, the very necessity to have additional people in the back of the truck. If you just take a look, Courtney's our paramedic. If Courtney's in the back doing patient care, talking to the patient, trying to calm him down. We have another paramedic in the back. So we have Paul trying to start an IV and pushing medicines. We have Jim up by the airway, suction the airway, taking care, make sure the patient's doing good. And if they're combative, that's a 4th person in the back of that truck. And then we need a driver. So, it's not uncommon that we will end up with 4 or 5 people on an ambulance run, taking a patient to Eskenazi, to Methodist, to St. Francis, and that presents a lot of out-of-service time for our firemen, because we have both crews out in just a pure distance. That's, I had the question posed to me just a week ago, why was there a Beech Grove engine down at St. Francis Hospital? It's like, well, we had a serious patient, and due to the amount of manpower it takes to take care of a patient, our firefighters went down with a medic truck, and they pick up their personnel, and then they come straight back and mark in service on the way back to Beech Grove. but it's more and more common. It happens ever so often than what it used to. So, with our St. Francis program, that contract will come up this year for renewal. We don't have to discuss it tonight, but just want to make you were aware, since we had that program start in 2012, they've been charged the same rate for their EMTs and paramedics. I imagine they're going to ask for an increase in pay. But when that contract comes up, we'll have a legal review and we'll have more discussions as those come forward. Next year in 2018, we will have our CAS accreditation on-site visit. That's where we have evaluators come out to the Beech Grove Fire Department, take a look at our emergency medical services. CAS is the gold standard of emergency care. It's nice, I can come up here and tell you what a great job we're doing, but that doesn't mean anything unless we're held to a higher standard. We have an outside agency come in, take a look. We look at the administration, the policies, the procedures, what we're doing, how we're billing, how we're taking care of patients. It's an overall view of what we're doing, providing emergency medical services. If you work in a hospital, it's much like the JACO process, so it's very important to us to be able to meet that standard. With MedBill, we're very happy with MedBill. They do all of our ambulance billing. We just had a rate increase here in January 17. What we're doing is we're continuing to evaluate our rates, the services we're providing, the cost of the equipment, and make sure everything's together on the same page. Coming up in the near future, we're going to talk about community paramedicine. I have another meeting with the community hospital next week. If you watch the news, you've seen Fishers on the news with their community hospital paramedicine. The community hospital paramedicine is a lot of the same things we do now, where we're out in people's homes. We're looking at their smoke detectors. We're looking for trip hazards. We're trying to give resources to our citizens here in Beech Grove. But this program wraps everything together. It's based upon the patient who's discharged from the hospital. The hospitals are trying to keep these people from going back and being readmitted. It could be a serious medical issue. It could be a COPD or CHF. So a fire department personnel would go to that person's house and help evaluate, do some patient care and some education. We don't want that person to have to call 911 and go back to the hospital that same week because they don't have any medications. So the fire department helps provide that resource where maybe that person just needs education. Maybe they need a ride to the pharmacy. Maybe they need additional assistance to make sure their medical care is being taken care of. So it's just a liaison with us, the patient, the hospital, try and decrease them going back. The good news is community was not paying for that program, but they have some great money now where they're paying their community paramedicine for these guys to go out and help take care of patients. So that's good, but that's coming up. I just want to make you aware of it before I come up and ask you to make a decision on anything. Fire department's still involved with our community CPR, our middle school CPR, our employee CPR and AED training, and that's available to you guys also. We'd love to have you trained in CPR and AEDs. With our facilities and infrastructure, we've had some discussions, and we talked about a new fire station. That is absolutely wonderful. But we need some direction on where we're going to go. In 2018, we still have a lot of issues down at Station 56. We have a maintenance room that still has extreme amount of moisture getting in. The walls are cracked. We have the EFA system around that station. It's very porous, and it's allowing water to come in. We had new tech come out and do some roof repairs for us, and the roof is shot on that building. So we have some serious issues we need to look at, and it's all about timing. It's all about money. It's all about what we're going to do as a city to secure our infrastructure at that station. As you know, I had Courtney come up here and talk about Station 56. We're still faced with the issues with the restroom facilities. We have more and more females on station, and they're sharing one single bathroom. So we do have serious issues we need to address. The last issue I'd like to follow up with.
Real quick, what, Station 56, what is that?
I'm sorry, that's the Albany Street Station.
Station
Number two?
56.
Okay.
Yes, Station 2 is Station 56, and on Churchman Avenue is Station 57. Health and wellness, we want to maintain our current physicals with public safety medical. There is an increase in 2018, it's another 3%, that's normal. Our guys are doing a great job getting their physicals done, doing their WPEs. We provide our flu shots for our personnel. An issue that is very near and dear to me for the firemen that currently work here and our past retirees, we've had a lot of firefighters have cancer, and we've had several members that passed away from cancer. Chief Pierce done a cancer awareness program, and we started some initiatives in 2017. Can't thank this council and the community for providing us with the appropriate PPE for the fire gear. We were able to purchase barrier hoods, which are Nomex hoods, but they have a barrier lining to help decrease the soot and the toxins coming in around the neck area. But we're still not doing a good enough job. We only have one gear washer, and that's at Station 56. We need a second washer for Station 57. It's very important that if these guys are exposed in their gear, they have the ability to immediately get that gear washed. And it's a nightmare. When these guys go on a fire, you have 11 guys on a fire. The next day, shift change, there's 11 sets of gear dumped down at Station 56, and the on-duty crews trying to wash, dismantle 11 sets of gear, wash liners separately, watch everything that's going on, but the outer linings and suspenders, and it's just the hoods, and it's just a big production that takes time, and we need to decrease that time, because when those guys come in for their next shift, that gear's hanging up to dry still because it's not completely done, especially if they're in a late cycle. So we need to address those issues also. The last issue, Jim applied for Indiana Homeland Security grant for one of the detoxification systems. It's a partial grant, but the detox system is becoming widespread. You see it on the news also. Firefighters come back from a fire, smoke-filled environment. You can smell the smoke. You have the thick mucus. You have it for days. You can go home, take a shower. The guys, big suggestion in fire service, you use lava soap and air detergent because it cuts it out, that smoke, but never really gets out of your system. You'll be mowing grass a day or two later, and you're still smell the smoke. You're still blow the thick black mucus out. The detoxification helps get those toxins out of your body. It's like a sauna. You go in, ride a bike for 20 minutes, and you sweat out those toxins. It's very important, especially when you look at the history of cancer we've had here at Beech Grove, and not only Indiana, but nationwide. So
Was that to say the self-contained breathing apparatus doesn't work?
no, it does work. Even though you still have your SCBA on, you have your gear on, that soot and toxins, and it comes through and can filter in, come up through your gear itself. They've done studies where you can take a guy who's been in a smoke-filled environment, they come out, and they do the imaging, and you can still see where it comes through certain areas of your body. Would you like to talk more about that?
Well, I was just
real
gonna
quick?
say, I was just gonna point out that there's several different avenues into the body that substances can enter.
Yeah.
Respirations is only one. You can swallow, you can be injected, you can absorb, and what we found over the years through studies is, yes, we've done a great job with the SCBA's of protecting our respiratory tract and thermally protecting ourselves with our gear. The problem is our gear's not airtight. And all those toxins that we now know exist in smoke that we didn't 20 years ago. Mayor can probably tell you times when they used to fight fire without air packs at all. So at least we've got that ahead of us. But now we realize that we're absorbing toxins from the atmosphere into our skin because our gear is not airtight. It's temperature, to protect us against heat, but it still absorbs. So that's what this device is designed to do, is to, after we get into a fire, before we shower, get into this device, it'll open up our pores and then get in the shower and hopefully be able to rinse most of that toxins off before it has a chance to completely absorb into our bodies. So that's what that's for.
I just want to say, I heard a program recently on public radio about even the drug residue that's left when you, from toxins from, manufactured drug residue in homes, and that's a big issue. That remains in that makes it in your skin. I mean, it's absorbed systemically through the
That
skin.
affects police
Yes.
and
police.
fire. If you noticed last month, in Ohio, they had an officer that was contacted with that gray death heroin. It got on his clothes. So,
And it's
our
absorbed through the skin. It's the
our
largest
police
organ
are
in the body. and
at risk also. And it's not, no one's immune, so. And of course, they're always welcome to come over and use what we have for our systems and this detox system also. Yeah, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Also about the ambulance, Danzo asked me about rechassing the medic, because in here I have Medic 58, which is our reserve. That is the 2012 Road Rescue. And then I also have Medic 56, and on the first page I put spring of 2018, I believe, and then on the back page I think I kicked that back over to fall. The reason those two are so close together, if you recall, we had an ambulance that was involved. We replaced the ambulance, and we had ambulance involved in a vehicle accident that was totaled. At that time, we made the board aware of the difficulties in the council, the difficulties it was going to be in the future. Remember, we're on a 3-year cycle, so eventually it's going to come up where we're going to have 2 ambulances very close together to be replaced. And the differences in cost is the worst case scenario. The second, on your very last page, is worst case scenario is in case that 2000 Horton box cannot be rechassied, at least hey, we have a higher cost that may happen. But we're trying to be very diligent. We've done a very good job on this last rechassis. I think, Dan, it came in at, was it in the 80s?
Yes,
It came in,
75 to 80.
yeah, it came in at an excellent price for us. I hope that price will continue. The difference in prices, adding the restraint system and the cot and the self-load for the second year for both ambulances, and then we're added to the reserve the next truck we do. So there's some variation. It may sound high, again, worst case scenario, but just want to make sure everyone's aware. I don't want to ask to rechassis an ambulance and then have to come back and tell you, oh, it's a 2000 box. We had it rechassied once, they can't do it again. So just worst case scenario. Any other questions?
I just real quickly on when it's, as far as the community-based efforts with the hospital, because I know how important the accountable care is, and as far as keeping patients from being readmitted, does the hospital give you any assistance for like cots or stuff if you're actually a piece of preventing those readmissions? Because they get paid, they get benefits from keeping those readmissions down.
Yes, they're looking at and here's an example. St. Vincent's works with Carmel Fire Department. And I'm just throw off a number. They pay roughly $250 for a patient contact. So if they have someone that needs to go home and be evaluated and have resources given, they pay that set fee to them on the premise that they're going to be educated, they're going to be resources are going to be given that patient to decrease the readmittance into the hospital. So there are some yes.
Some benefit, maybe some monies there from the hospitals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see it. That program will only grow,
Yes.
not only locally, but
Yes.
nationwide, because there's a lot of interest. And like I said, we do a lot of the key issues with the patients now, but there's so much more that we can offer. And I even had the chance to speak to Stephanie, the senior citizens, because they already provide transportation. So instead of duplicating services, they're a resource now to us where we can say, okay, if you need assistance to get medication, go in the store, here's who you need to call, and have those resources available and be able to discuss those with people, especially in our community.
And I just want to say on your behalf, you're talking about an ambulance and somebody with the acuity of care, and you're saving their life, and you've got 4 people in a box trying to stay secure and take care of a patient. In a hospital setting, if somebody codes, you've got a team of 20 people doing the same thing that you guys are trying to do for. And you're doing the same emergency administration, the same life-saving measures, and you're asked to do this in a box moving at a high rate of speed, unsecured. So I just want to emphasize that, how important this is for your safety and the safety of the people that you're keeping alive for us.
Thank you.
I'd like to make one comment. I wish we could give you everything on here.
Dan, I was gonna ask you that. How does this, from the clerk treasurer standpoint, how does this?
It's a nightmare, because here's the problem. The fire department's asking for $734,000. The police, I'm sure, will come up close to that too. Then you got DPW, you got all these departments. You cannot have a $2 million increase in our budget. So, like I say, I think this council and the previous council, the mayor, have all been very supportive to all employees of the city. But I think we need to look at this very cautiously.
Well, Dan, I thought maybe the police department could each get a 50-round box of ammo for each of their guys. If that'll. I wanted to say something on the medic crew real quickly, and this is from the hospital standpoint when you listen to doctors and nurses and others, of just the compliment that Beech Grove in the type of service and how they handle their patients and taking that emergency and getting into the hospital and so on. It's just constant, always above the bar type stuff. So to the medic crew, because the fire crew doesn't always have to deal as much with that end, but to the medic crew, what a great compliment, and how good it feels to live in this city and to be part of it and to hear those kind of compliments. So.
Thank you, and again, I'd like to give my appreciation to our medic crews and fire crews they're out here 24/7, and they have a tough job, and they're just doing an excellent job and providing the patient care and giving the city services that we expect. So I greatly appreciate all their hard work, and I want to thank the council also. So, thank you.
Dan, can you report back maybe next meeting as to what amount of this fits into next year's budget?
Well, that's dependent on the needs of the actual department. I mean, I could go through here, but I don't know the exact needs of it. So that would be more the departments.
You'll just have to wait till they
on a
submit it.
priority basis. What's the most important on down?
Okay.
And I want to make a correction. Michael Maurice might appreciate this. When I said a box, that's only, not detectives. They don't get one. Administration doesn't get one. I mean, don't be ridiculous.
Okay, that concludes special presentations. Council, reading of the minutes and approval. You have 2 sets of minutes. The first one is for the meeting on May the 1st, 2017. The floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
On page 1 where it says committee reports, it says Mayor's Youth Council, report given by Principal Liz. Just, can we add her last name to that, so we know who we're talking about?
Yeah, Liz Walters, Walters.
Okay.
Yes.
And then on page 2, the very first sentence, it says, Susie McMillan and Dan Pavey. Susie McMillan was nominated, actually she was elected.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Any other questions, comments, or corrections? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes dated Monday, May the 1st, 2017, with the corrections.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes with the correction for the May 1st meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Vote carries. Council, you have another set of minutes for a special meeting dated May 22nd, 2017. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections. Yes, Chris?
Where it says new business, it says Attorney Alan Hux gave a description of what happened in the negotiations. Sandy Seward moved to approve the contract, and Dave Harrison seconded the motion, which was approved by unanimous voice vote. I guess at first reading, this appears like we're giving minutes of what happened in the Board of Works meeting, but maybe what they meant was Alan Hux gave a description of what happened at the Board of Works meeting, and it's not real clear there. Maybe, I don't know how you guys mean it, but maybe it needs to read, Attorney Alan Hux gave a description of what happened in the Board of Works meeting, or it wasn't in the negotiations. You know what you see what I'm saying?
I think he was talking about the negotiations, the contract, wasn't he? The contracted negotiations?
Well, if he was talking about that, then the next sentence shouldn't be in our minutes. It should be in the Board of Works minutes.
The easy correction would be to scratch negotiations and put Board of Works meeting. That would be an easy fix.
That'll be fine. I'd like to make that change there, what you're saying.
Any other questions, comments, or corrections?
I guess within the second portion, new business, it's saying that we move to approve the contract. Our motion at that meeting made no effect on the approval or denial of that contract.
Where are you at, Vito?
The second.
Second portion of new business. The contract was already approved, the DPW. Was it a motion to show our support or non-supportive contract?
You would not have any bearing on the agreement, so it would just be support. Or you can vote to strike that.
I'd say we just, well, it was a vote that was recorded, so I don't know if we can strike it.
At least the word approve the
to
contract
support.
should be out of there. Support or whatever.
Get rid of approve
At least that much, yes.
and put support. The contract.
That works for me.
Any other changes or corrections? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting dated Monday, May 22nd, with the corrections.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. Public comments. Counselor, anybody sign up to speak? No. We'll move to committee reports. The RDC, ABC report, Greenscape, and the public safety. You should have with you. Compliance did not turn in a report, and then that leaves the financial report. Dan?
Good evening, counselors. We made the following lease purchase payments in April and May. Skid steer, $7,892.73. The Regions Equipment Finance. The 2015A revenue bond of $31,280.90 was paid. As you may recall, several months ago, we had Mike Hughes install LED lighting on the clerk treasurer side of the building. Last month, he installed it on the mayor's side of the building. A new ramp was installed in front of the clerk treasurer's office. Smith Projects was the contractor. It is nice to have this walkway reopened. Tonight, we have an additional appropriation, the amount of $215,000 for the Churchman Avenue sidewalk project. Public hearing and first reading is tonight. Second and third readings are in July. The city website continues to grow and is a great asset to the citizens. It is a valuable resource to many, as so has not cost the taxpayers one penny since its inception. Community events can be added free of charge by emailing me at dan.mcmillan@beechgrove.com. Thanks to the website volunteers who continue to keep it updated at no cost to the taxpayers. Financial reports, debt service, bank balances, and more can be found on the city website. Two of the bank accounts I want to recognize tonight. The corporation account has $3,253,825.57. The utility account had $1,064,912.85. As always, if you have any questions, my door is always open. Thank you, Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer. And then I have one more thing that we do every year for the RDC. Dear members of the council, pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-39, the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission is required to notify you each year before July 1st of the amount of excess assessed valuation that the commission has determined that may be allocated to other respective taxing units. The commission has calculated and determined that there is no excess assessed value in the allocation areas that is not needed to make principal and interest payments on bonds and other purposes outlined in IC 36-7-14-39. If you have any questions regarding this determination or notification, please do not hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, we will consider our obligation to notify you of the amount of excess assessed value fulfilled. Sincerely, Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer, and this on behalf of the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission. This letter was mailed out today to approximately a dozen different entities, from the City Council to the Airport Authority. It's just different ones that have to be notified of this. And like I say, I've done it all 5 years that I've been here, so just to let you guys know, this is the copy that I received that actually went to the City of Beech Grove and Beech Grove City Council. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
All right.
Dennis, I just wanted to encourage the council, if anybody hasn't, to make sure, to please review the meeting from the RDC on May the 11th because of the presentation that was made for luring people into the city. And it was an awesome presentation, and there's so much good in that from the information that was put at that meeting. I just wanted to encourage the council to, if anybody hasn't, review the video from that RDC meeting.
Okay. That concludes committee reports. On to unfinished business. General Ordinance Number 3, 2017 is still tabled. I have not heard anything from our Representative Alan Hux pursuant to the IURC or from Citizens Energy. So unless there's any questions, we'll move to General Ordinance 4. Any questions on General Ordinance 3? General Ordinance Number 4, 2017 is up for approval on third and final reading this evening pursuant to the Parks rules. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to read by title only.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
And then we will vote individually. Buddy?
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only?
Title only.
Title only.
Thank you. General Ordinance Number 4, 2017 is up for approval on third and final reading. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read it into the record by title only.
General Ordinance Number 4, 2017 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 99 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. General Ordinance Number 4, 2017 is up for approval on third and final reading this evening. This time, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve General Ordinance Number 4 for third reading.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote. That concludes unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. Under new business, we have 3 items. First item is General Ordinance Number 5, 2017. It's an additional appropriation, is up for approval on first reading. This time I'll defer to the clerk for explanation. Dan?
Okay, what this is we're just asking for additional money for the Churchman Avenue project, sidewalk project, and the dollar amount of being $215,000. And in order to do this, we have to bring it before the council to have public hearing and so forth to follow the rules.
I just have a question. Was that part of the already approved 2017 for the budget for the, or is this additional, was that already, should that already been monies from the budget?
No, that money was actually in the year 2016, and we carried it over to the year 2017.
So it wasn't already approved for the 2017 budget?
No,
But it was in 2016.
I'm not even sure if it was in 2016.
Yeah, there was a category established, and the money was into there, but I'm not sure on the one for
Without
this year.
checking, I'm the same way. I know we were talking about it, and we knew it couldn't happen, so I think we held it over until this year.
Okay. And so it's from the general, so it's from the general fund then?
Yes.
I will have to tell you that this is a public hearing, so if there's anybody who would like to speak on this matter, you're certainly welcome to speak as part of the public hearing. I know that I would like to speak, not only as mayor, but as a citizen. If you go out on Churchman Avenue now, you'll see a tremendous improvement in the city with storm sewers, drainage, and eventually sidewalks. And this money will pay for that. So I would certainly encourage the council to approve this tonight on first reading, and then at the July meeting on second and third. I think it's much needed, and it helps that area of our city immensely.
Well, the work's under contract, correct? So, I mean, the work is under contract.
They're working on it as we speak.
Yeah, so,
We just need this money to be able to.
Will second and third reading in July be quick enough for you? Or
Yes.
You want to do it all tonight?
No, we got plenty.
All right.
Do you want to read this in, so then if they've got any questions?
Yeah, then I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record on first reading.
General Ordinance Number 5, 2017, additional appropriations grant funding. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than originally appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council of Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Fund name is the General Department Board of Works. Major classification is capital outlays for $215,000. The amount approved would be $215,000. Total for the general fund, $215,000. Amount approved, $215,000. Fund name, Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project. Major budget classification, capital outlays for $215,000, and the amount approved, $215,000. Total for Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Fund, $215,000. Amount approved, $215,000. Whereas the Beech Grove City Council executed on September 16, 2016, the MPO grant named the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project and approved funding and cash flow for the same. Now therefore, Section 2, be it further ordained by the Beech Grove City Council that the above general fund capital outlay additional appropriation amount is to be transferred to the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project Fund to maintain a positive cash flow. And then I've actually got one more that was noticed to the taxpayers of additional appropriation.
Yeah.
I'll read. And it is notice is hereby given that taxpayers, City of Beech Grove, Marion County, Indiana, that the proper legal officers will consider the following additional appropriations in excess of the budget for the current year at the regular meeting place at City Hall, 806 Main Street, Beech Grove, at 7 o'clock on the 5th day of June 2017. Fund name is Department of Board of Works, out of the general fund. Major budget classification, capital outlays $215,000. Total for the general fund. The fund name is the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project. Major budget classification, capital outlays $215,000. Total for Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project $215,000. Taxpayers appearing at the meeting shall have a right to be heard. The additional appropriation as finally made will be referred to the Department of Local Government Finance Department. The department will make a written determination as to the sufficiency of funds to support the appropriations made within 15 days of the receipt of a certified copy of the action taken.
Thank you. Floor is open for any questions or comments from council members.
Now, we'll have to have additional appropriations for the Greenway funding as well, correct? Because that was not in the budget before.
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't looked that far ahead.
Okay.
Any questions or comments from council members? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve General Ordinance Number 5, 2017 on first reading only.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second. Go ahead,
I'll
Kevin.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this on second and third reading at the July 10th council meeting. Thank you. The final ordinance this evening, or this next ordinance this evening is General Ordinance Number 6, 2017, sponsored by Councilor Mascari. This ordinance pertains to open burning in the environmental ordinance and having small fires in your backyard. I asked Vito to sponsor this. I was a little taken back by one of our compliance officers who took it upon himself to cite a citizen for having a small pit in their backyard, and I just felt that that was so unnecessary. So I wrote this ordinance and I asked Vito to sponsor it. And I don't know, Vito, did you want to comment on your experience?
Oh, I mean, me and the kids and my fiance have, bonfires during the spring, fall. I mean, it's not something that you go, okay, well, May 29th, we're gonna have a bonfire. It's Saturday, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You're like, hey kids, you wanna have a bonfire tonight? I'll go pick up some hot dogs. We'll get some, stuff for s'mores. Listen to some music. Have a good time. Neighborhood kids come by if they want to. So in getting a permit, and we do it in a safe manner. I'm out there with them, obviously. They're not out there trying to light them fire by themselves. And honestly, my stepdaughter will laugh at me sometimes because sometimes we never get to have a bonfire because I'm no Bear Grylls when it comes to lighting a fire. It sometimes takes a while. So it's kind of a pastime that I think, I did when I was a kid. We, did it when I was in high school. We did it when I was in grade school. So if it's done in a safe manner, which most people will, I think that it should have some rules around it, but it's not a requirement that I need to take up your time or the fire department's time to go over there on a certain day of the week, fill out paperwork, get a permit, and then, we're gonna do it this Saturday, then it rains. It was a waste of my time, it was a waste of their time. So, I mean, there's a couple things I maybe want to go through on this, and we can maybe discuss it more when people give their comments about some items I do want to add to this, to make it a little bit more clear, like the safety of it, but not add in anything with a requirement of a permit or anything like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's open it up for questions or comments from council members.
I wholeheartedly agree with him. You can plan it and say, Dennis, you, Dan, and Buddy, and the rest of you want to come over to my house for a campfire? And then it's raining, or it's too windy, or something that's not safe. So it's just something you almost can't plan. So I agree with with him completely on that.
Well, I've noticed just right in my neighborhood, I know that the young couple just to the south of me, they have a fire pit. I know Jay Chalice, the kids gather around their house. I think my charcoal grill, when I light it up, maybe is more dangerous than the fire pit. So, yes, I think that's an enjoyable thing for the citizens, and a lot of young people enjoy those.
All right. Any other questions or comments before I have the clerk read it into the record? This time I'll ask General Orders Number 6, 2017 be read into the record for first reading.
General Ordinance Number 6, 2017 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 94 and Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Beech Grove as it pertains to open burning. Whereas residents of the City of Beech Grove are not permitted to burn trash, rubbish, leaves, and other foliage. And whereas residents on occasion enjoy cooking out, having wiener roast, and sitting around a small fire during the course of an evening. And whereas residents who live in apartment complexes should confer to apartment management concerning open fires. Whereas residents should not be constrained by representatives of local government should they desire to have a small campfire in their backyards. Now therefore be it affirmed that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 94 and Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further affirmed that the Common Council desires the following amendments be added to the Code of Ordinances. Delete in its entirety Section 94.180, open burning, Section 94.081, special permits. Add the following amendments as follows. Section 98.02L, no person shall kindle or maintain any bonfire or burn leaves, rubbish, or dispose of any refuse by open burning or such fire, or authorizes any such fire to be kindled or maintained in any street, alley, road, land, or public grounds. L.1, no person shall kindle or maintain any bonfires, burn leaves, trash, or rubbish on any private land or dispose of unwanted goods by open burning on private land. See subsection L2 for exclusions. L2, special small fires for the purpose of wiener roast, hog roast, and other specialty cooking with open flame is permitted, provide the open flame is contained in an approved container with access to a lid or is in the ground surrounded by cement blocks or bricks extending at least 1 foot in height. L3, public safety agencies upon notification may have cause to conduct an inspection and if conditions are unsafe may ask for you to extinguish the fire. Now therefore be it affirmed that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 94 and Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further affirmed that this ordinance only applies to the above-mentioned changes in Chapter 94 and Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further affirmed that this ordinance shall go into effect immediately after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President Pro Tem, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Any further comments or questions?
I guess my only question would be, I apologize, would be if the fire chief had any concerns about these, as far as safety. And any risk of these creating further.
No, I support this ordinance. It's very well written and addresses some of the safety issues. The issue that I always had was the fire department has given out special permits. And a lot of times we're giving out permits to people who only intent is to burn trash, burn limbs, and do everything that the ordinance and the special permit was not intended for. So it really takes us out of that predicament. So if we have a citizen complaint, if they call 911 and they have a complaint, we're no go investigate. It actually helps us out more by saying, no, we didn't give you a permit. This is against the burn ordinance. for the county, and put their fire out. So we're still go, we're still be called, and we're still take care of the issue. But like this ordinance, I like the way it's written. I think it really helps the fire department and the city out in that aspect.
At the top of page 2, where it says section 98.02, illustrative enumeration, what does that mean?
I don't know, that's how it was written, that's how the environmental nuisance ordinance is written, and it was, that's the title of that section, so I just left it alone.
Okay, I was looking at ordinance 7, and the title of those sections are much more descriptive, like, limited to number of domestic farm animals, deceased animals. Would we want to change this to something more descriptive? Or
I don't know. I don't know. The environmental ordinance is much broader than, this is just one small part of it, so I was just more apt to leave it alone.
All right.
On section L.2, I'd like to add or amend that last sentence, so 1 foot in height, I think that it should be the internal depth from ground level, 1 foot in depth. So you need to dig out something. Because I don't want people just say, oh, we can have fires, I got some extra bricks, so I'm gonna throw some bricks on the ground, and now I got a fire pit. You need to take some time to actually make a pit. Because mine, I've dug it into the ground. Because you wanna get it below ground so the wind doesn't take all those embers across to your neighbor's house. And then with that being said, the external wall needs to be half that height above the ground. So 6-inch barrier around.
I agree with that.
So it should say, or is in the ground 1 foot?
I'm trying to think how to phrase this. I just want it to be 1 foot in depth in the ground.
Foot in depth?
So depth from ground level. So you actually need to dig a hole for this. And then be surrounded by cement bricks extending at least 6 inches in height.
So you mean, what you're really talking about is like a 6-inch hole and then a 6-inch border
No,
brick?
a foot deep
12-inch
hole
hole
and a
and a
6-inch
6-inch.
barrier above.
Okay.
It's not so much the barrier on ground level is important as
Would you
getting it below
would you
ground level.
compromise and go 6-inch hole and a 6-inch brick? That'd give you your 1 foot.
Yeah, that would work too. Depending on, yeah, I'll do that. 6-inch hole with a 6-inch barrier.
Okay, it would be, or in L2, last sentence, or is in the ground, 6 inches in depth, and surrounded by cement blocks or bricks extending at least 6 inches in height.
Correct.
Okay. That is the amendment.
Okay, so then I have, sorry.
I would, we've introduced it on, Dan's read it into the record, so we'll have to ask for an amendment to General Ordinance number 6 to include what we just put in.
Okay.
So I'll ask for a motion to amend the
I can
ordinance.
get through the other ones I want to add real quick.
Okay. Well, wait a minute, let's amend that one.
Okay.
Motion to amend, page 2, L.2.
I'll make a motion to amend as you wrote, as we've noted.
I'll second that motion.
Second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Okay, that carries. Go ahead, Vito.
Said fire pit, so this would actually be L4. The fire pit needs to be 15 feet from any residential structure. And if you were to look up at a power line, directly below a power line or utility line, it needs to be 15 feet from the power line on the ground. Because we don't want people first putting a bonfire pit next to their house. You know, most people wouldn't do it, but I remember in college, I saw some buddies melt their side of the garage off their house before.
Vito, is this something like from the National Fire Pit Association, or are we just making it up?
No, it's from Weber and Associates.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just coming up with our own stuff here, I don't.
The fire chief did it.
I'm trying to do this right.
Okay, so L4 should say pit needs to be 15 feet from any structure or power line.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's another motion to amend.
I'll make a motion to amend it as you just said.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign.
I'm voting on something that's gonna bite me in my own backyard, aren't I?
You can't have a pit within 10 feet of a swimming pool.
Don't give me any ideas up here.
All right.
So, this be L5.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and approve it on first reading, and then on second reading at the July meeting, we add to it?
Gotcha. I'll do it. I'll keep my
So,
notes.
motion to, it's been read into the record, motion to approve General Ordinance Number 6, 2017 on first reading only with the two amendments.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this on second reading only at the July 6th meeting. General Ordinance Number 7, 2017 is up for approval on first reading this evening. This deals with amending Chapter 90 of the Code of Ordinances pursuant to chickens. And Derek Blyce, in compliance, wrote this ordinance over a year ago. And it's set in a folder. And there was a couple things that prompted it to be brought out. One was people who lived here who desired to raise chickens for eating, not the chickens themselves, but the eggs. And number two is people started asking about the city-county ordinance pursuant to poultry and comparing it to Beech Grove. So in speaking with residents who wanted this ordinance in place, I decided to go ahead and bring it out. Vito's agreed to sponsor it. And I'm indifferent to it, whatever, I'm just gonna go with whatever the council wants to do with it. If the council doesn't want to approve this, then I can tell you, I'm not gonna bring it back up through 2020. If the council wants to approve it, I'll sign it. That's about the only way I can describe it. So, General Ordinance Number 7, 2017 is up for approval on first reading. At this time, I'll open the floor up for comments or questions from council members.
Well, I know I sat with Derek when he orchestrated this ordinance, and he worked really hard, and I can't quote the outside communities that he referenced, but he worked really hard on looking at other chicken ordinances in other communities, and he really wanted to try to come up with something that was not impossible, but as restrictive as could be, just because of the safety and the wellness of the animals and the effect and the cosmetics of people with the coops. So he really put a lot of effort, and he really did his research well. And I think he tried to cover everything that could possibly be covered and as strict as possible. So I know he put a lot of effort into it. And I know there's a lot of young people that, just as we talked about the gardening and the garden to the table, if they can offset costs by having a few fresh farm eggs and enjoy learning about taking care of chickens, I think it's a good thing.
I was gonna actually talk with Craig about this Saturday. Tell a little story. When I was about 8 or 9, it was Easter Sunday, and my dad brought home 2 baby ducks. And we had, probably was not within the city regulations, but we had ducks on South 4th Street. We raised those ducks. It was a great experience. I mean, I loved having the ducks. Everybody in the neighborhood knew that Beek and Bill were in the front yard, and those were our ducks. They would roam the neighborhood, and sometimes the neighbors would call and say, hey, your duck's in our front yard. We'd go over there and lure the duck back over to our front yard, and they would hang out. Spent many afternoons with a hose, spraying the duck droppings off the front porch and the sidewalk, but it was a great experience. I mean, the ducks eventually passed away.
Light of old
But-
age.
Might be some neighborhood kids that have some involvement in the death of the ducks, but
Do you have duck eggs?
we didn't have duck eggs. The ducks couldn't fly, but it was just a great experience. I mean, could I write a book about raising ducks? No. But it was a childhood experience I had, just like bringing up this bonfire thing. I mean, similar situation. I think that the people in the community that want to have chickens are doing it for a similar situation. They're doing it because not only do they want to teach their kids about how to raise farm animals, that they're going to get nourishment from the eggs. And then I think it's a great tool to bring families and communities together. When I first moved my house on 57 South 10th, I moved there in 09. 09, 2010, 11, and 12. I had chickens behind my house the entire time I lived there. The family that lived behind me had 3 roosters and probably 12 hens. And every morning, I know this ordinance says that they're not allowed to be roosters. But every morning, I was woken up by the sound of a rooster. So, I mean, not that some mornings I liked it, some mornings I didn't, but it wasn't that I wanted to run over there and pound on their door and say, get these chickens out of here. It didn't bother me. Now, maybe it bothered some other people, but I think that the good that this ordinance can do for the community outweighs some of the risks. Everything has a risk, and I think that the good outweighs the risk.
I tell people that, who ask about having chickens, I said, well, you can have 1 rooster and up to 12 chickens right now because the city county council has said so. So that's one way to look at it. And by passing this ordinance, we can tighten the rules on poultry. That's one way to look at it. So I've had people, council, I've had people that have told me they're adamantly opposed to this. There is no way they want chickens in their neighbor. But on the other hand, I've had families tell me that they want to raise chickens. So it's on the agenda, and we'll see what the council wants to do with it.
So since you're sponsoring this, do we need this if the city county council already approves it?
I mean, that's a question I have. I mean, city county council's already approved it. If I were to go get me a chicken coop tomorrow, 12 hens and a rooster,
Craig, wasn't that what their ordinance was? It was a 12 or 13?
It's 12, but, I mean, I think there's a matter of opinion as to whether we can follow the city county council ordinance or not. I mean, we can, but I think we can be more restrictive, or we could outright outlaw it. I don't see why there's a reason why we can't.
Would there be any input from the police department as far as, do you have any concerns about this ordinance, or have you read it? Do you have any?
Be strong on this, chief.
I didn't know, I'm just asking.
No clucking.
Don't be a chicken.
We already have an ordinance that says no poultry. The animal control officer, due to all the comments, he's been asked not to write any citations, to inform the people what our ordinance says. My opinion is I have chickens and roosters. I'm sorry, I have hens and roosters. My opinion is roosters are going to get complaints. Restrict it to only hens. Hens lay eggs, that's what you want them to have. You don't need a rooster. A rooster is only good for babies, so you don't need that. Hens only is my suggestion, and limit it to the number of hens that you have, whatever you want to limit it to, which makes it, going to make it easier on the police department and the animal control, that the noise isn't going to be there, like Vito said. I know mine is like 4 o'clock in the morning. The hens don't make much noise. So that's on our side, we're getting complaints and information, but I've asked him only to inform the residents what is going on, and not to do any violations on it.
Are the complaints mostly on the rooster part of it, or?
Yes, on the rooster part of it.
Could you put a muzzle on the rooster?
You could, but it wouldn't stop because
Oh.
they do it through their throat.
I'm glad you.
Us city boys.
And the ordinance says no roosters, and you can only have 6 hens.
I've got major opposition to this. I don't care if everybody in Beech Grove wants to get a chicken. Mine falls under 90.61, permits required. We try to run a very efficient operation with 2 full-time employees, and that $5, if you have 25 people, that $5 doesn't help the city's budget one iota. And since the animal control officer is the one that takes care of this and approves the coops and all this other stuff, my suggestion is we don't have any license or fees associated with it, and it goes through the animal control because he's got to inspect it anyway. And if there's complaints out there, he's gonna know who they are. But I can't hire someone just to do permits for chickens.
I'm not sure where,
Thought was.
yeah,
I'm trying
the
to think
$5,
back
I don't know where that
When
came
he
from.
was going, I think that his thought was that it would just validate people's desire, their commitment to this. It would, if they had to get a permit, it would just validate their commitment, and then that's what it was. And I don't know if other surrounding communities had a permit issue or not.
Don't know.
Where was the permit part at? Where was the,
It was
or the monetary part of it?
Page like 5, and then,
90.61.
but also 90.62 talks about revocation of the permit, so that would have to go too if we did away with the permit.
We could shorten this ordinance real quick.
Well, I think I tell you what I think you should, my recommendation is that to see if you want to pass this on first reading, you can go back, if it passes first reading, you can go back second reading and make all your adjustments.
If it passes, I will try to make an amendment in favor of the clerk's suggestion at the next meeting or whatever.
So, any other questions or comments?
Can we read by title only?
If not, I'll ask for a motion to read this ordinance by title only.
I'll make said motion.
Second,
And we'll vote individually, beginning on my left.
title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only?
Title only?
Title only.
I'll ask the clerk to read General Ordinance Number 7, 2017, into the record by title only.
General Ordinance Number 7, 2017 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 90 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to animals.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? This time I'll ask for a motion to approve General Orders Number 7, 2017 on first reading only.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Can we do
opposed,
it
the same
by
sign.
Can we do it by voice? Because
Voice, beginning on my left, buddy.
Aye.
Yay.
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 Yes.
Aye.
What would that be, Dan? 5 to 1?
1.
Okay. We will hear this on second reading at the July 10th meeting. That concludes new business. Council comments beginning on my left, buddy.
I want to thank the fire department, as I know other departments will too, but just keeping us informed on things that, of the future, especially things that, life savings and communications and so forth. I do want to encourage the city, I might bring it up more later, but the mayor himself did a good job in trying to explain an ordinance we had the other day. There gets a lot of misrepresentation from an ordinance, and people think that this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and that's not always what takes place. I've said that without trying to go into the ordinance, but I think it's important that the city have of course, a website that's done well, that can can explain things. But I think a Facebook page would also be good, that the city could explain things such as just what the mayor did in his efforts to try to not only explain that, but other things that go on in the city. And I won't get into the other departments, they have their issues on there, but I did want to say the city itself, it would be nice to have one. I want to thank Dan for his financial report that I sometimes don't get a chance to do. I also want to have us encourage with the no Mecca in place and the county kind of up in the air about what they're going to do. Well, we know what they want to do. They don't want to do anything. But as far as radio communications, I know our police and fire are both affected, and I think the mayor had some suggestions that were great and will work, but I just wanted to put it on the record here. I wanted to also, to the Kelso family, for the flag, how meaningful that had to not only been to them to give it to the city because of John's service for this country, and I just wanted to, if they ever hear this or read it, to say thank you for that flag. And that's all I have.
Thank everyone for coming, and thank you to the fire chief for his presentation. It looks like we've got a lot to look forward to in the next couple of years.
Thanks to the fire department for coming in and talking. Second that comment. And look forward to see where these chicken issue and the fire pit issue go.
I just want to remind everyone that the Beautify Beech Grove, our 5th annual walk, is on June 17th. I've handed out everyone the walk flyers. It's an awesome opportunity to walk with us at the nonprofit. We supply the flags and decorations, offset costs to make the city beautiful, and it saves the taxpayers money. So June 17th starts at 9 o'clock at Sarah Bolton Park. It'll be a great opportunity to meet and greet with the neighbors.
I'd like to thank Vito for sponsoring the fire pit ordinance. I think that was needed, and that's all I have to say.
I just want to thank everybody for coming, and then also Relay for Life is on June 16th down at the track.
Thank you. Thanks, council, for your patience this evening. In your packet was a document titled House Bill 1002, Road Funding Increase Per County. And there was an asterisk by Marion County. In 2018, Marion County's portion of the road funding goes up by over almost $10 million. So the city of Beech Grove should see an increase in the local road and street category in 18. I don't know how much it will be. I'm guessing 20% increase, but I don't know. But that was in there for your reading. Another update on the Hoosier State that was in your packet, keeping you in the loop on that. The RDC and the council, or the board, did a what do you call it? LED lights on Emerson Avenue. LED. And this was in your packet as well. They switched out all the bulbs to LED, and the first month, there's 2 meters out there. The first month on 1 meter, the city saved $127. And on the second meter, the city saved $153. So that's pretty good stuff. And then I put a little release on March Supermarket, and I wanted to update you a little bit on that. No, what's the date? Wednesday. This Wednesday is the deadline for Marsh in the bankruptcy to accept bids to take over their 44 properties that they have remaining. If there are more than one bidder, then they will have an auction June the 12th. And the most responsive bidder will be, will get their assets. We hope that somebody steps up. There's two that is being mentioned, two chains that are being mentioned. And, one of them is Giant Eagle, which is not local, and another one is Kroger's, which is based out of Cincinnati. So those are two that they've stated publicly that are interested in what's going on. So, and they've disclosed that publicly. I've only just passing it on. So hopefully, I think we all wish the store would stay there, but maybe something will happen to the good of the order. So that's basically all I have. Just a reminder to the council and the public, we will not meet on July the 3rd. That's the first Monday of the month, but that's the fireworks night, and there's just too much going on. So the meeting will be the following Monday, July the 10th at 7 p.m. So having said that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned at 9:11 p.m., Dan.